Come over here. Good morning, everybody. As some of you might know, I'm Tony from Mercy Perrysburg Family Medicine. As we do the third Wednesday of each month, give a talk on a different medical topic. Today we have Dr. Rubin that's going to talk about nutrition and supplements. That could also include things like vitamins. You know, as we get older, we start to wonder about should I be taking more of this or more of that? Or hey, a friend of mine takes red rice yeast, or you know, I'm getting a cold and I heard about taking echinacea and all these other different things. And some of us might already be taking some things and wondering what happens, you know, is this benefiting me? What happens if I take too much? How do I know if I'm getting enough of this in my diet? Do I need to be supplementing things? How should I be having this conversation with my primary care physician? So today, Dr. Rubin, in about the next 15, 20 minutes, is going to talk a little bit about all that. And then we'll stick around and take any personal questions.
Oh, it sounds good.
Are you a professional?
I am a family medicine doctor, but I hope to be so great that I'll be considered a specialist.
Okay.
So specialize in hopefully taking great care of all the people that I see. It's nice meeting everybody. I'm Dr. Rudy. You guys have a wonderful facility here. It's nice seeing everybody. Thanks for being here. And looking fun. I tend to be a quiet talker, so let me know if I get a little bit quiet. We'll raise the volume. Excellent. So I always like to start off informally and just see if anybody has any questions on any supplements, vitamins, personal stories to kind of start us off. Anybody want to volunteer? Excellent.
Turmeric.
Turmeric.
Yeah.
Yep.
Turmeric.
Yeah. So may I ask what you're taking it for?
My friend says it's going to clear my mind. And it was something else. And the last few days have been the worst for my mind, and I always took it for research.
If this is too personal of a question, you don't have to answer. But may I ask, other than clearing your mind and stuff like that, are you having other conditions going on for that? You can just say yes or no. Okay. Yeah. So the short answer is whatever you want to start taking. It's always good to speak to your doctor about it. Because even though turmeric is just a spice you can do in cooking, people have used it in lattes. It's actually pretty delicious with cinnamon and sugar. You're fine. It might not be harmful, but you always want to make sure it's clear with your doctor there's no interaction with any of your medication. You can be taking medication for blood pressure, for sugar levels, for any other things, and even though you're like, oh, but it's just a spice, I can find it in the kitchen aisle, there always may be interaction. So what do I think of it personally? So I think it can be very effective for clearing the mind and thinking clearer. I don't think there's enough evidence to support that yet. A lot of these things are either anecdotal or home remedies. So if you try them, I don't think it'll hurt, but I think just depending on where we are naturally with things in terms of where we are at our mind at a certain age, what other activities we're doing, what support system we have, what issues of diet and everything we have, I think those are more of factors. I don't think it's something that will hurt necessarily. Do I think it'll help? Maybe not as much as we'd like. Not a miracle thing. As with a lot of things, some things you may take that may help you a little bit. Is it a cure? Probably not. A lot of vitamins, especially B vitamins and vitamin C that are water soluble. If your body needs it, it'll take it in. If it doesn't need it, you just see out the rest of it. So those don't hurt necessarily. There are vitamins like A, D, E, and K that are fat soluble. So you can take those and they can build up in your system. So if you take a lot of them, those actually may harm you. And then in the sense of why do we need to be taking so many things potentially? What do I need to do for my health? We all want to be healthy. We all want to optimize it. In terms of your diet, if you eat healthy, if you're eating your fruits, vegetables, protein, staying away from junk food, carbs, too much fat, not too much alcohol, if you're eating a good diet, most of the time you should be getting all the nutrition that you need. Now, there are cases, for example, let me get a few other mini stories and we'll jump on the thanks for sharing. Any other stories of vitamins that you take or anybody takes you guys have questions about, or vitamins and supplements? That's a good question. It depends on the certain vitamin. Generally, as long as you're able to take it and you remember to take it and it doesn't interact with certain things, then it shouldn't really matter. Some people are very sensitive and gives them an upset stomach. So sometimes you may want to wait with that. And it also depends on the medications you take. For example, some medications have trouble being absorbed, such as thyroid hormone. So if anybody's low in thyroid hormone, you take that first thing in the morning on an empty stomach with a glass of water, an hour or two before you're taking any medication. So it's not necessarily always what's the best time to take a vitamin. You have to see, does it interact with something I'm already taking? Will it prevent the absorption of something else that I need? And then a lot of things, for example, like calcium or iron, the same example with your thyroid hormone. They can actually bind to other medications that you're taking to make them less effective. So it depends on what you're taking. So some antibiotics have issues with other medications or supplements, some medications such as thyroid hormone. That's why you have to talk to your doctor. You think, oh, it's just calcium. Anybody can take calcium. You know, it's in milk, it's in other things, but they can interact with certain things. For example, pomegranate and grapefruit juice can interact with certain medications. You may have to take a lot of it to do so. It affects the enzymes that either keep them in the body or take them out of the body. So, you know, it could sound simple. I'm just having some juice. What's the problem? Is that you don't know what we don't know. So it's good to have that discussion. And we're talking about our health. So, for example, we exercise, we go to class, we try to eat right, we try to see what else we can be doing to improve our health. And the overall strategy is, why do we do anything for health? We do anything for health because we want to live the lives we want to live. Our lives aren't about going to doctor's appointments. Our lives are about family, going to events with nephews, weddings, hobbies. Some people like painting, some people like puzzles. I love puzzles. I'm geeking out in this room. It's fantastic. My dad worked for a glass company, so we'd make puzzles and we'd frame them in the glass he would put out. So it's excellent. So we focus on our health and vitamins and nutrients. We want to live our lives. We want to be able to socialize. We want to be able to dance and have a support system. So one vitamin is going to do it. Stars, turmeric. It may help. It doesn't hurt, but we want to make sure that we're eating well, we're exercising, we're socializing, we're catching up on our neighbors, friends, people, and things that actually make our lives where we want them to be. So if you're eating a normal diet, you're doing everything else right, you should be on track. Now, if you have, for example, issue with, for example, somebody might be low in calcium or vitamin D naturally, that's something that it would benefit you to take. If you have normal levels, you probably don't need it. If you have, for example, osteoporosis or low calcium, or reasons, for example, if you're deficient in vitamin D, or in some other rare cases in something else, then that could be something that would really benefit you. Because that's saying, I don't have something, I'm suffering, let me take it and fix those levels. And then, you know, just like you have like a wonderful bookshelf of movies. I don't know how you guys choose movies to watch, because it looks like there's hundreds, if not thousands here. So the same thing when you go into a grocery store, you see aisle upon aisle, there's bottles and bottles and this and that. Should I take this? Should I take? It can drive you kind of crazy to see what should I take, what brand is it? Well, this one costs a little bit more. Which one's better? Most of the time, they're equally effective. So even if, for example, you might have one being, but if this one costs like 3 times more, for this difference, which really isn't going to do anything, you might not need to take the more expensive one. Most of the ones in the store are going to be good quality. There's organizations that I mentioned in the list that can tell me more information on which medications are good, certain seals. But if they're in the grocery store, especially if it's a large chain, they're going to carry good quality products. So the distinction between supplements and vitamins and food, for example, or for your prescription, say somebody's on a blood pressure medication. Medications are strictly regulated and they're in the category of medication. That means the Food and Drug Administration in the United States, it means some organization tested it to make sure it's effective, to make sure it's safe. Not the same thing with vitamins and supplements. they're technically not considered medicine, they're technically considered food. So that just means that you're allowed to sell them as we're allowed to sell any good ideas or products. This is the best country on earth, United States, capitalism, economy, building things, supply and demand, all fantastic things. But you got to know that just because somebody's selling a vitamin and supplement, it's not a medication. It's considered technically a food. So you have the right to be able to sell something, as you should have the right to be able to buy something, but know that not all of these are regulated. So that they may say, I don't know, vitamin made up number 7 that's blue is great for heartburn, this and that, for strength. They can say all the things that they advertise for it, but know that those advertisements aren't regulated. So if you see something on the internet, if you read something, if you hear it from a friend, sometimes they may work, but realize it could be companies just trying to sell you something. Now, they're still regulated in the sense that you can't just put anything in there. They have to know the ingredients that are in there, but they don't have to have the correct amount. Meaning, if I say it has made up blue vitamin number 7, it has to be the correct chemical, but it doesn't have to be the right amount, or the sources can be a little different so that you don't have the purity in everything. So you got to be careful with what we're taking. Yes.
Okay, just, when you go to the grocery store to pick up a can and it's the first item is water, it tends to tell you that that's the most in that can. You know what I mean? Is it by strength? Yeah, or what's the biggest thing in that can?
Yes. So
salt water.
Correct. You're
beans.
correct. So your question has 2 answers.
Okay.
So usually when you list ingredients in products, it says the most common ingredient first. Yeah. So for example, if the main ingredient is either that active ingredient and it's mainly like 90% that active ingredient, then it's listed first. Now, some ingredients may not taste good or may be kind of strong, so they mix it in with a lot of sugar. That can still be normal. So if you see sugar as the main ingredient, that's not necessarily a bad thing. The drug itself might either be a little bitter or it might just be active. You only need it in small quantities, so they put the rest of it for the pill. Now, there's the second part to your question. You had mentioned water specifically. There are a certain type of homeopathic remedies where I think it's called, the company's like Bioron, and their whole thing that they try to sell is that water has memory. Water doesn't have memory, and their whole thing is if we dilute, I'm not making this up, I swear, but they sell it and they're allowed to sell it. And then people are allowed to buy it. Have you guys heard of the placebo effect? So the placebo effect, for those who may not know, is if you try to do something for your health, even if it doesn't work, even if I give you just a pill that's just sugar, the fact that I give you a pill and say, hey, I think this is going to help, my encouragement and your enthusiasm that you're doing something for yourself, even if it's just sugar, you can eat regular sugar and where it's not really giving you anything, just that fact makes you feel better. You feel like you're doing something for your health, you feel positive emotion. So some of it's just the effect of, hey, I think it's mind over matter. So part of it is that, and that company, that's why I said specifically water, because their whole thing is that if we dilute it, if it's a small amount, it'll be helpful. That doesn't really work, but they're allowed to sell it. And it seems kind of a silly idea if I just take something, an actual medicine, and make it smaller and smaller and smaller, where it's like really nothing there, then it'll help me. It won't, but they have a right to sell. And if it makes people feel better, I'm not going to say don't feel better. I mean, if it's basically sugar and water, is it safe? Yes. Will it hurt you? No. Do I think you should be spending your money on it? It's a free country. You can. I wouldn't use my money on it. I'd use it on family and other things, but that's just me. Hopefully that answers your question.
What I'm getting at is, so if I pick up a vitamin, is that going to tell me the first item on that is the main ingredient, or
so it'll say they are regulated, and they have recommended values that they give you. But for example, say you're taking like a vitamin C and a vitamin D in one tablet, you may or may not need it. Like I said, everyone talk to your doctor beforehand. But the amounts, even though it'll say like 2,000 of one thing and only a small thing of the other thing, that just means the other thing is stronger. You don't need as much. So the actual numbers in there don't matter as much. They can have multiple things.
When you just said that it could be a sugar pill.
Yes.
They're not allowed to I mean, there are regulations on how they can advertise it publicly. Is that true?
Kind of. So they're allowed, they can't say like totally like false claims, but they can say that this will help with certain things. But again, because it's not a drug, they can make whatever claims they want. It's technically a food. So, hey, who's to say, I don't know, like a pear or an orange or some type of rare fruit won't help you? It might. That's the main thing. They're not allowed to like put like dangerous chemicals in there, or they're not really supposed to say it's one thing and put something totally different there. So like if you're, for example, taking, I don't know, wild pear or something, and they put like totally different thing in there, they're not generally supposed to do that. But know that you might just be buying something that a company's trying to sell.
A couple doctors have said that Prevagen is pretty much worthless, and yet they advertise like crazy that it's going to help your thinking process and all.
Some things like those are a little tricky. If it's, for example, a medication, some may help a little bit, and even though they might help, I'm not saying that one specifically, but I'm saying they might help so they can technically do it. And you have to weigh whether it's beneficial. That's a discussion to have with your doctor to say, well, maybe it helps a little bit, but for the cost and how long do you have to take it before it has effects? So if there's any question, ask your doctor, because companies are allowed to sell, and it's your health versus them trying to make a buck. So they're going to try to make a buck, but you have to see if it makes sense for you. Yes.
You keep mentioning see your doctor. How about training our doctors now into that field of supplement or food?
That's true. You're absolutely correct. So that field has been improving. Doctors are receiving more training on nutrition, more training on supplements. The issue is, if I was to pick up a whole list of medications of traditional medicine, and then like, for example, herbal medicines, or I guess they call it like supplemental nutrition, it would fill volumes and volumes. So instead of just, reading every single thing and thousands of chemicals like whole encyclopedias, that's why we get medications tested, because if they work, we know. If they work better, we also know. If they don't work, we know as well. Now, the other thing is, testing for a lot of things takes potentially decades sometimes. So if we have an idea of, oh, this may help somebody, but it's not officially tested. But for example, your doctor may say, well, it's not officially recommended for this purpose, but we've had some success as well with some people. Then that's something to have a conversation. Then you weigh risks and benefits. Is it proven to work? Maybe in some people. Is it harmful? No. If that's the case, then that's something that you discuss with your doctor. And in that case, it may make sense to take it. But when in doubt, have that conversation, because so many things interact. Absolutely. Go ahead.
My daughter-in-law is a nutritionist.
Excellent.
And she has given me some supplements.
Yes.
Dietary supplements. They're a little different than what you purchase on the,
yeah.
I don't know if I should be taking them. I mean, she does.
Okay.
She's purely a nutritionist, a vegetarian. So she knows what she needs.
Yeah.
Is there a big difference between taking them than purchasing them from, the grocery store?
It depends on what you're taking. So for example, many companies can make it. So if we say, I don't know, let's say vitamin C, for example, the grocery store may carry 5 different kinds. Some other companies may have their different versions. So long as you know what you're taking, why you're taking it, what other medical conditions they have, what other medications you have, if they have any issues there. You take it to your doctor and he's like, oh yeah, I know this. It's healthy. They're vitamins or plants. You're not taking any medication. He'll look at your medication list. Oh, these are fine. And then you can take it. But if he looks at your medication list, and you may take medication for like a blood thinning medication or something else. A good example is warfarin, very common blood thinner. We say eat healthy. Warfarin, for people that take it, it thins your blood. But if you eat a lot of healthy vegetables, green vegetables, the vitamin K in that prevents warfarin from working. And then all of a sudden you're not getting your blood thin, and all of a sudden you can have risks for strokes or other things. So even it might seem like a simple thing. Salads are healthy, doc. Everybody knows vegetables are healthy. In most cases, yes. But what you don't know about other interactions, like with the warfarin, and all of a sudden you're not getting treated and you might have like a stroke or a blood clot. So when in doubt, ask your doctor, because he might say, oh, this looks fine. He might look at it for 2 seconds, say it's fine. But if it's not, like that example or many others, then that's something that he could alert you. Absolutely. Yes. Exercise. I love it. I'm all for it. Thanks for coming. Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Yes.
I can take any medication.
Okay.
So when you see your doctor and he
Yes.
prescribes something like
Yes.
that, wouldn't he explain that you have to watch eating this, or this?
Yeah.
At the pharmacy, or
Yeah,
even
they both should and generally do.
Okay.
Now the issue comes, so for example, say you're seeing me or your doctor, we'll have a conversation about what you have, what you need to take, which is good, and we should do it every time. But then again, after that conversation, say you go home and hear something from a friend or read something or see an advertisement somewhere, since time has passed and I haven't seen you, haven't told me about the new thing,
Okay.
then we've talked about all the things that we've talked about, but if there's new things, then I haven't, there's thousands of things. So we talked about the common ones. You come in and ask about certain vitamins, medications. Oh, these are fine, Mrs. Jones, or you have a lovelier name than that, I'm sure. But then if there's new things, I'll let them know as well, because no one has the time to talk about every single medication. Yeah. So at the end of the day, health and happiness, do everything that we can with family, with food, with exercise, healthy eating. Ask your doctor if there are questions. Know that companies try to sell you things that may or may not work. So you got to be careful of what you're taking and why you're taking it.
Buyer beware.
Buyer beware.
All right.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Okay. Blood pressure medicine, and you're not taking it for blood pressure.
Okay.
But brain dip.
Yes.
Okay. They call it beta blocker.
Correct.
Now, they've already said something about the doctor explained. Well,
yes.
When a doctor explains to me, a lot of it goes, it's more medical terms and other things. And I keep going back and asking over and over, what is a beta blocker?
Yeah. Are you asking that question specifically or in general?
Now,
yeah, that's fair. So again, it could be blood pressure medication. And it could also be something that if you're taking for AFib, it slows your heart down. That's a topic for another day, but and you should still ask your doctor if you have any. No, but what I'm saying is you should that's a simple answer. If you have questions, definitely ask your doctor. And you're allowed to say, doctors are people too. So for example, I tend to be a quiet talker. If I'm a quiet talker, just ask me, oh, can you please speak up a little bit? Or if they're going too slow or too fast, say, can you please explain it in a simpler way? Just ask with any questions.
I think he sums it up in the best way. It's either for blood pressure or to slow your heart rate down.
Yeah.
In your situation, it's to slow your heart rate down. Right. Now, if you need a more complicated reason of what a beta blocker is and what it does, I mean, we can share that after this talk.
Okay, but it thins the blood too, right? Because you can use blood pressure medicine for different things. I've got that.
So okay, two things. You can use it for different things. It doesn't thin your blood, not that one specifically. You may be on something else about that. But when in doubt, ask, and your doctor should explain it to you in a way that you're comfortable. If not, then let them know. And if not, if you're not comfortable with your doctor, get another one. You've got to be comfortable with your doctor. It's your health. It's that relationship. It's got to be that.
Okay. All right. It's close to 11:30. We want to make sure people get to lunch.
All right. Thank you, everybody that was listening online.
Thank you for your time. And wish you a good day and good luck. Thank you.